Hello, everybody. We are in the studio today with our guest, Radical Cartoons. My first ever interview here. I'm so honored to have you.
Well, I'm honoured to be the first. Thanks very much.
You are almost as infamous as me, and you've been canceled.
I'm probably not so well known in America as in Turf Island, but yeah. Well, hopefully, your audience might find out a bit about what happened to me and what I'm into and what I've been doing.
Oh, definitely want to hear more about your future plans, where you've been, all your story. Starting with the hard questions here. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh my God, you start with something like that. It's relaxing, isn't it?
Yeah, I have to do that.
A false sense of security. Probably chocolate. Probably chocolate.
Don't worry. No sneaky questions till later.
Yeah.
You're in for worms. But I see you're wearing a Thought Criminal shirt.
Yeah, I always wear it to Reformers Tree. Obviously from Kelly J. Keen's store.
That's amazing. I like to show off the one I'm wearing for you. It is
Yeah.
The screen is actually erasing it, unfortunately. But it says how to pick up chicks, with like a cartoon. Cartoons are like the bomb. It tells stories.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah. Well, and you get cancelled for them as well.
Yes.
A lot of people are frightened of cartoons for some
they don't
reason.
Want to tell your story because it is a story.
Yeah. They can read pages and pages of text, in an academic book, but one single cartoon.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
You can be cancelled. Yeah.
Political cartoons are original memes. Like, hello, this is today's memes. Loving the new flags, guys.
That's one of mine. I'm cringing with embarrassment. That's one of mine, but I'm not brilliant at memes. I just throw them together.
No, but it's pretty good. We have Amanda Meme Maker in the chat here, and I told her, like, I shouted her out. Her and Rose in Wonderland, they're like amazing with the memes.
Oh, we need more meme makers.
We need more artists. We need more women out there just doing their thing.
Well, I'm not on the big platforms. See, I've never been on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I call them the axis of evil. Those three, and I've never been on
your artwork with the axis of evil. Now you just invited the devil.
Oh, okay, well that's fine because my stuff is public domain. Okay. Everything I've done for campaigners is public domain, and anybody's welcome to grab these and use them on their own accounts or whatever. So that's fine.
Well, I like to know your story. Where do you get your sense of humor from?
Oh, I've been a cartoonist ever since I was a child. I mean, being a cartoonist is one of those things that when you're quite small, if you get bullied in school, I got bullied in school a lot because of being disabled.
So did I.
Yeah. And being like the class clown, it's a way of kind of getting the bullies off your back, isn't it? And trying to get more friends. And I think that happens to a lot of kids,
Well, they used to beat me up for my comics. They wanted me to draw for them, and I would never do that. And they would just steal it and put faggot all over it and throw it all over the classroom. They were really mean to me.
Oh, I was probably more submissive than you because I would draw for them to get rid of them, But of course, back in those days, it's just you're basically copying what you've seen. So you might be drawing Donald Duck and stuff, You're copying.
I was going to ask you what inspired your art. Like, where do you get your style from?
I just grew up drawing. My mom was a good artist. She taught me to draw before I even went to school. She taught me. Yeah, before I even went to school, she was teaching me how to draw. And
women have skills. I just don't know why women don't deny it. We don't ever get the credit we deserve for it.
Well, this is it. I mean, there are loads and loads of male cartoonists out there, right? Loads and loads. And every single one of them has probably got a woman at home who does all the heavy lifting while he's sitting in his studio.
Of course, we
drawing away.
We create life itself.
Yeah.
Same thing for the writers. They all have editors that are women that fixing all their stuff and making the story, pretty much.
Yeah.
Even to be a famous, writer, you have to change your name to a man's name to just cheat, and make the star of the story a man, even though it's a story about witches, which was so clever, fucking, Rollins. But It is a
Well,
story of
J.K.
women.
Rowling.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling, she was
She
hiding the
snuck it in.
fact that she was a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheating the
People
system.
don't point that out. But J.K. Rowling is like, you don't know whether that's a man or a woman.
Right. That's the reason why she got famous. If not, she never would have. She's done that on purpose. She's a very smart and intelligent woman.
I
Which is
agree.
why
Yeah,
she's in this
I
battle
agree.
with us. She knows the importance of language more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Let me show you
Do you
the
want to
namesake,
put up?
baby.
Do you want to put out the cartoon I got cancelled for? A lot of people call this the crocodile. A lot of people call this the crocodile cartoon.
Okay, I gotta like change our little screen so we're not like totally erased. But I will do that. This is the crocodile one, huh?
Yeah. So for those of your audience who don't know, this is the cartoon I was cancelled for in 2020. And I was the political cartoonist of a national daily newspaper in this country called Morning Star. So it's a communist daily newspaper called the Morning Star.
How you got canceled? Like you just
Sorry?
showed up to work? You just showed up to work after you printed it, or how did this make it on the paper first?
Yeah, they printed it, and then they had a massive pile on from TRAs, Twitter mobs, the unions.
Didn't know what kind of reaction. They didn't have a problem with it when you printed it, but then afterwards, they had to get your head.
They had a pile on within about 48 hours of it appearing in the paper, and they were threatened with defunding. They were forced to cancel me, and they were forced to apologise for printing it. I mean, it went on and on and on. And of course, I didn't have anybody to help me. So I went to a thing called the Free Speech Union in this country, and they supported me, and they threatened the newspaper with defamation. And I mean, it didn't work. I didn't get my role back, you know.
No,
but I did get a private apology from the editor. I mean, he was mortified about what happened.
All heard it for you, but in the end, that doesn't pay the bills.
No, they didn't. The thing is, they didn't stick up for me. When a newspaper has contributors, they're supposed to stick up for you.
Yeah.
They're supposed to support you. If they make a decision to publish anything, they're supposed to stand by their decision.
Of course, they did. They published you. It was on the paper and everything.
That's right.
Did you frame it? I think you need to send me a copy. I will pay you for it. But I want your signature on there.
At least it's gone around the world. At least it's gone around the world. I mean, a lot of people have never heard of me, but they might have heard of that cartoon, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's become a bit of an icon, and there was nothing to that cartoon. It wasn't offensive in any way, shape, or form.
No,
all it was doing was warning about men coming into women's spaces. That was end of, you know.
Because how dare women beware of what's going on? The real truth. Look at that. The alligator with the teeth. That reminds me of every TRA, you know, I ever heard that went into a bathroom that was unwanted. So I see you've done ones of Turf Island.
Oh, no, that's the banner that I use on Getter.
Okay.
That's my banner on Getter.
Right.
And
I see you in the Turf all the time.
Yeah, I designed that in case anybody wanted to use it as a sort of New Year's card.
Okay, cool.
At the beginning of the year, yeah.
It is our year. I do believe things are changing. Hi, Puma. Glad to see you in the chat. Well, I would like to know about how many speaker corners have you been to? Have you been at any? Like, been able to make it?
I've been going to them not from the very first one, but from about the third one. So I started going in the middle of about August 2020. I started going, and there was only about 20 or 30 of us when it started at Speaker's Corner.
Wow.
And you know, so I've been going not right from the very, very first one.
Right.
But I was at the one where BLM went by us, and we had loads of abuse from BLM, and that was televised all over the world because even people like Russia Today were following this BLM march across London, and they went past us, and it was all captured on cameras all over the world. You know, when they abused it. It was. Well, we thought it was a lot of fun actually. Afterwards,
okay,
we thought it was a lot of fun.
It always is.
But my husband came with me to that. My hubby came with me to that particular one, and it frightened him so. frightened him so much that he's never been back to Reformer Street.
Oh God.
And I said to him, look, they're not all going to be like that. You know?
It's the women who have the ovaries to stand up to these men, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That way, but you know, it happens.
So that was a famous one. And another famous one was when a lady called Hayton Tash was stabbed at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah.
And she's an evangelist, kind of Christian woman. And she speaks out against the Muslim fundamentalists at Speaker's Corner. And she was stabbed. And because she was stabbed and we were going to have a Speaker's Corner afterwards, we decided not to go there. And so we went across to Reformer Street, and that's where we've been ever since. So, yeah.
An amazing group of women. I wish in, you know, the US we had like those numbers. We got to start somewhere. We're a little behind, you guys.
Well, you know, even 10 or 20 is a good amount of people to turn up to something like this, because everybody's scared, everybody's frightened, you know. So
it's a domino effect. Once you get women's out there speaking and peaking, you know, more will follow. Like, what numbers you have now?
Oh, I mean, we regularly have 200 or 300 and sometimes more.
Amazing.
Oh yeah. The biggest one last year was in Glasgow, over 1,000. And that was in Glasgow, that one. Oh, these cartoons are a couple of cartoons I did for a campaigner over there called Joey Bright.
Oh, I know all about Joey Bright. Tell us more.
Oh, I hope I'm not, you know, I don't want to step into
Joey. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's good. Oh, thank goodness for that. So Joey's been in this fight, obviously, for lesbians since the 70s.
Yeah.
And
lesbians have been here first.
She knows all about it. This cartoon strip was for a famous article she did, where she called out people like Buck Angel and
right. I heard about the story. I read it actually. It was a Four Horsemen, right?
Yeah. So that's the cartoon strip I did for that article. Yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with these things, and I'm still collaborating with her over different things, you know. So.
Yeah, always. There's got to be future things. I want to know if you do something for my little Gallagher event, you know, like Gulager, like, you know, like make her like funny and shit.
Well, funny enough, I think one of the cartoons I sent you today, which is of a fridge freezer full of body parts.
Oh, yeah.
I
do have that coming.
See that one.
But we can talk about a few more until we get to that one.
Oh, yeah,
sure. How about this one about the little boy that wants to keep his willy, you know, like.
Yeah, this was when British Cycling decided women's section was going to be all women. Hurrah! So this cartoon was about that.
Yeah, not let the boys cheat, but also they get to keep their penis. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, you know.
Definitely, yeah. But I think I was making a point in that cartoon that a lot of this is about parents who have invested a lot of money in their kids' training,
right?
As well. And these two particular parents are obviously Munchausen's parents because they wanted him to transition. But it is making a point that parents have spent years and years and thousands of dollars on their kids' training. You know,
right? If you have a male market failure of a son, how do you get on the win and bring home trophies and awards? Just make them into a girl. This is a timeless story.
And especially if you've got a family of siblings and there's a load of rivalry. I mean, look at the Jazz Jennings family.
Oh my God!
You know, we don't know everything about them, but we can only speculate that there was a lot of sibling rivalry even when they were toddlers. Do you know what I mean? And
perhaps some won a star, you know, at his own expense, out of the expense of his whole future. But you know.
But you know, if one child is favoured over the others, or one child is like the black sheep of the family, it's like this sort of thing. The parents playing the kids off. The parents might be playing the kids off against one another if they were divorcing, all that kind of thing. This all feeds into the mix, you know. This was for Mr. Menno. Did this one for Mr. Menno. This was about the Welsh government.
Well,
yeah, that's the Welsh. That's the Welsh dragon on the Welsh flag. That is there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No wonder I have no idea what it means, but you can explain more to me because I'm American.
Well, they're in a kind of pride parade, you know, like a pub
Right.
in the pride parade. Yeah, so it's a dragon.
I'm glad you're working with all the like famous turfs in our community. I hope to join Little Circle one day of known like turfs. I want to know what future projects you have in line. You know?
Um, I don't know about future ones. I can show you a couple from my board here if you want to bring the
Oh yeah,
screen up again.
let's show you some of the ones you're working on currently.
This is the sort of thing I've done for Campaigner. This was a calendar called Women in Film 2022, and this is for a Canadian lady called Aline Cormier. Have you heard of her?
No,
And
not yet.
she does turf radfem critiques of cinema films.
Okay, that's great.
And so I did this for her, and she obviously sold it to a few of
Once you peek, you see it everywhere, especially nowadays. It's so forced on us for the media.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bring out another picture in here that that I think was quite good. Oh, I don't know. They're not like extra extra unusual. That was obviously Star Wars, but you know, it was just to highlight women in films. That was a calendar.
No, that's very important. We need more feminist art. I swear. Whenever I see like, I googled it, and it like the feminist art I see is more like us getting tortured.
Oh.
You know.
Well, you've got. So this is my actual book I published.
Okay.
And I published this at the end of 2020. It's mostly turfy, but it's also about the pandemic and the lockups and all that kind of thing. So it's and this is a full color.
It's all connected.
Full color cartoon book, like a coffee table.
They should be giving that to children. They should be giving that to children instead of like this porn, soft porn that they're pushing on them. It's ridiculous.
But people can still buy that on Amazon, so it's easy to find. 2020, the year we were all cancelled, and it's pro J.K. Rowling. It's got a pro J.K. Rowling cartoon on the front cover, which no other book in the world has got. You know, so yeah.
I want to let the audience know how to find you. So here's our little banner.
Yeah, radical cartoons on everything basically. That's on there. Yeah, yeah. And,
you're on it. She's there.
Yeah, if you go on Amazon. Go on Amazon, you just type the title in, 2020, the year we were all cancelled, there it is. And awesome. I hope people will, you know, it's not an academic book, but you could add it to your turfy library, you know.
Support all the turf artists, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah, some of these different things I've done over the last couple of years, these cartoons. Obviously, that was a sort of Halloween-y one.
Yes, which is my theme for you. I love Halloween. It's my favorite time of the year. Well, I want to know, do you know any other amazing turf artists that you want to like give a shout out to?
Oh, that's the one with the that you might feel like using for your Dr. Gallagher, because this is the body parts cartoon.
Is it okay if I make little pins to give out to the women that go out?
Yeah, whatever you like, do whatever you like.
I'll send you some. Because I love sending them to people.
The only thing you might want to do with that cartoon is change the little European flag to an American flag, but that's all you might want to change that. That's.
Oh no, it's from you. I have to represent for you. I cannot claim it for Women Speaks Florida. You know, like.
And that was that was about a real thing. There's a real doctor somewhere in Eastern Europe who is planning to do this so that there's a kind of exchange of body parts from the women who are having the breast cut off and all that, and the men seriously wants to keep it in a deep freeze. And
I believe they're going to do that. That's like so science fiction, but it's coming. They want to like trade them off. The women are willing to give away their uterus, and these men are trying to sign up for them, but neither one of them have the space for each other's parts. It's just no wiring. How's that even going to work? What do they think?
So make sure that showing that cartoon doesn't get your new channel took down straight away, you know.
Well, that's okay. I'll just back it up on Rumble or something.
And this is obviously Posey in New Zealand. Instead of hardware store, I just called it Hadesware instead of hardware, you know. So.
Oh, that's cute. And then I love the one here about the witches and Target, you know.
That's right. That was done as a birthday card for J.K. Rowling, and it had a British supermarket name instead of Target.
Oh, that's
And
so
that was done for a group of a lesbian group in Britain called Get the Hell Out.
I love them. They have definitely the right message.
Yeah, and I think they were based in Nottingham, and they wanted something for a birthday card to send to J.K. Rowling, so I did that one for them.
Amazing. Well, speaking of Menno, I heard there was a big controversy with this one.
Oh, he didn't want to use that one. Yeah, he didn't want to use that one.
Oh.
Because he's used some of my cartoons in his videos where he just puts them up on screen as part of the song sort of thing. And the reason he didn't want to use this one, because he said it, this is how sensitive men are, right?
Right.
He said, oh, it reminds me of the days back in the sort of 40s and 50s when gay men were taken to psychiatric hospitals and they had this done to them and that done to them, aversion therapy, you know?
That's what they're doing nowadays. There's nothing different. They keep doing this, and we know this.
So to me, wasn't done with that in mind at all. Obviously,
No,
it was done as a Frankenstein's monster, you know.
That's what's happening. I mean, look at those scars.
Yeah.
This is what I think of Gallagher's Office.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be fun when you go there.
Yes.
Are you doing? Is that at Halloween? Are you doing that at Halloween?
I'm going to Gallagher's for Halloween.
Oh, I hope everybody's dressed up as witches, and that'd be brilliant.
I'm going to be Wolverine, and I'm going to chop off the penises of little boys so I can make them into X-Men.
Oh gosh, what was it in the film The Witches? Something about little children?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. Gosh.
I want to show all the brutality of what they're actually doing out there to us, to young gays mostly, and autistic kids, and any kid that's a misfit. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's
sacrifice.
It's a kind of it is a kind of, it's almost like we've gone back to the 1930s, isn't it? Because this is what they did in Germany in the 1930s. They tried to get rid of all the kids, everybody with mental illness, everybody with disabilities.
Yeah, they're sterilizing the whole generation.
They did all that before they even started on the Jews. They were busy getting rid of people. They called them everybody useless eaters. So old people in homes and people in asylums. Yeah, they called them useless eaters, and that is the way. Look at Canada.
And they're creating us terms as like the throwaway class of people, objecting to this. We're trying to save people, but they want to criminalize us.
Again, that's one I did for Joey Bright, and that was used as a postcard to hand out to the public outside the gender clinics in the protest.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, I'm going to ask you another tough question. What is your opinions about the class turf warfares? Like the elites versus the little street activism stuff that's going on. You are a political cartoonist, so maybe you have an opinion.
Well, you're not supposed to have that in America, because you're not supposed to have class in America.
Oh, we definitely do. We definitely do. But we have the activist class. We do it professionally, and then we have the regular women that come out, and a lot of times there's a lot of conflict.
I mean, here it is genuine class. It's from the old class system, and so it is really along working class, upper class lines, basically.
Yeah.
But in America, it's more, I suppose, academics versus activists. Yeah.
There's so many rules that you want to play, and I'm just like, no, just get out there and get everyone speaking.
I'll tell you what I think it is more than anything else, because I love and respect a lot of the women who are actually against us, because they've done wonderful things over the years, right?
Yeah.
Without naming any names, they're great heroes of women's movement. But there's something, I think jealousy is down to a lot of it. They were doing all this before the internet, and now somebody like Kelly J. King comes along, and the media love her. She's great photogenic. They love her. She's great on television.
But lesbians are doing this longer, so Not everybody gets a gold star. Sorry.
Yeah, and she inspires women across the board. So
Okay.
it's not just lesbians, it's not just mothers,
No,
it's
of
all of
course.
us, you know.
Well, it affects all of us, and I think all women have to go out and speak. Because I'm tired of the lesbians having to carry the weight of it, you know.
But while we're talking about that, I want to show you a book that's just been published this year.
Yeah,
You want to
please
bring the
do.
screen? Right, this is called Mrs. Pankhurst's Bodyguard. It's just been published this year. I'm just seeing who published it. I don't know. It's called The History Press, but it'll be available on Amazon. And that's all about how the street activists of the suffragettes were organising, learning how to defend themselves. They did jiu-jitsu classes and all kind of stuff.
We definitely need to take lessons from them.
Back in the day, and
it wasn't about football.
How they organised their actions and how they protected one another and escaped from the police and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you what, that's only just been published, and everything in it is relevant to what we're doing today. Everything in it.
And we definitely have to take that as a manual.
It almost is, yeah. Yeah, Mrs. Pankhurst's Bodyguard, it's called.
Well, thank you for introducing that to our audience and me.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's brand new, so add it to your turf collection.
I'm very inspired by the art you do and everything. I like to share a little bit of my art with you. So, but I'm more like a graphic artist. This was a drawing I did of myself in drag way back in the day. This is what I think I would look like as an Aiden, but I'm glad it was just drag, you know, like it was to express yourself. It wasn't a full-time thing, you know, like ridiculous. And then I do some of the little creepy stuff with my graphics to impress a girl or whatever, but it is what I like to do. And myself, self-portrait back in the day. But yeah, that's my graphic work. So if you ever need someone to do some graphics for you, I'm more than happy to. Yeah. We all need to work together and promote other artists.
It looks to me like you're a goth. You're a secret goth.
No secret about it. What are you talking about? Everybody knows.
What we used to call a goth. I mean, I wish we could wind the clock back to those days of punks and goths.
Days. Like gender non-conforming.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm over 60 and I still get people thinking I'm a bloke. You know, I still get that.
Why? It's ridiculous. You don't.
Well, but no. It happens because the trouble with the trans thing is that it forces back into the stereotypes. So people literally think if you're walking on the street and you're wearing trousers and short hair, you might be a bloke, and people are literally starting to think that because of this trans movement. It's took us backwards in time.
It's so ridiculous. It's like you change an outfit and you change your whole sex. I have a pronoun pin that I change every other day to tell you what I am today.
I mean, I will say one thing about it. It's stopped children misgendering you, because now they don't know. They can't be sure. So in the old days, a kid would actually come up to you on the street and go, "Are you a man or a woman?" You know, but they don't do that now. They don't do that now because they're being told in school, well, you know, people can be anything. So I'm not saying that's a good thing, but the misgendering I get is coming from older people,
right?
Not from children. It used to be children would do that. They would have no embarrassment about doing that.
They were just curious. They wanted to know. You know, some people confuse them for their androgynous ways, or stereotypes. They get confused by that, but they didn't believe it as a religion. Where like adults now are like buying into that. It's like really cops knew that men wore skirts and fluffy outfits and makeup, and that's still a man, totally 100%.
I mean, the one that you probably all know the most is Dylan Mulvaney, because he with the Bud Light thing.
Oh yeah, but he's a clown.
And we all, when he first came on the scene, we just all thought this was a joke. You know, it was an over the top actor. You know, playing like the old
Saturday Night Live clip or something, you know?
Yeah, like the old guys that used to do this on telly like Liberace and all these kind of people. That he was just doing an over the top act, and nobody thought anybody was going to take it seriously. And then all these companies actually take him seriously as if he's
Because it's profit
And
for
I
them.
think,
It's all about their profits.
I mean, he's made himself a millionaire, I suppose. So you can't feel sorry for the bloke, but he's in so deep over his head with it now that he could never kind of come out of it, you know.
Well,
But I think he started off intending it to be trolling. I don't think it was meant to be.
I don't think anything was ever charming about a man falling all over himself and saying that's girlhood. Okay, nothing about
No,
it.
I agree, but I honestly think that him and his promoters, the people, you know,
Yeah.
actually thought that this wasn't going to be taken seriously. That it was, you know, it was going to be
Maybe
seen as a
blow the
sort of.
whole trans thing out of the water. If you just go so over the top that everybody peaks. I keep saying
think
that it's going to happen.
Yeah, you would have thought that him in particular,
right?
that if anybody was going to make everybody peak, it would have been him. And with the Bud Light thing, I mean, in a way, he's helped our cause, hasn't he? He has helped our cause because
They do
so
help
many
our cause.
people.
When we actually listen to them, when people actually have to put up with them, yes, it does help our cause. But it shouldn't have to
helped
all that.
No, it's helped our cause. What I mean is, it's helped our cause in that lots and lots of ordinary people are boycotting those companies.
Yeah,
you know, they see it for how ridiculous it is. You know, and so in that sense, it's helped our cause. You know, Kelly J often says that the worse they are, the better we look. The worse they look, the better we look.
Which is,
and that's one of her sayings. You know, so.
It's just how it is. You cannot actually know it. It was before because people didn't know who they were. You know, people just heard about these trans people. Now they see them in all their bathrooms and how entitled they are, and the way they treat women is just, and children. They really like hand over their kids to these people. I'm just like.
Well, I think the worst thing is the way it's bringing homophobia back into fashion. I really think this is one of the worst things about the trans movement.
The other way. And in a way, it is deserved by the gay community because the gay men who are pushing this have always stood by this. Lesbians know this because they went against us and caused turf and like until the Aiden started invading their community. Because it has always gay men in society over women.
And a lot of women have been very nervous to sort of talk about that and admit it, but there's just as much misogyny from gay men as there is from any other kind of men, you know.
Sorry. John Money was a gay man. Most of these men like Cantor who want to have to pee are gay men.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
lesbians with them.
They never spoke out because it wasn't hurting them, was it? It was
men's fetish is something they love. They love men's fetish. They are men. They want a fetish parade. Why do they keep allowing this? They'll kick out a lesbian for saying, no, this is too far. This is not what we want. But then they continue on with the parade of fetish.
Yeah, and they've got a lot, to be honest, they've got a lot to answer for. You know, gay men have got a lot to answer for with this. I mean, we can all think of the ones we like, our friendly allies, the ones our cuddly ones that we all like, that we're friends with, and you know. But as a group, they've got a hell of a lot to answer for this, because they could have stood up in the early days of it and say, no, keep dragging the clubs, keep dragging the other clubs.
The orgs could have stopped at we got marriage. Okay, that's when we should have stopped all this shit. No, we had to go on and say, hey, let's make some more money. Let's do this trans thing, even though it's against our own people. And it was really a hostile takeover, but it was allowed by many people, and including lesbians who fell for the empathy trap, you know? They fell for the, oh, poor man, he wants to be like us thing, you know?
Well, all I can say is that it's thanks to the new generation that's coming up like yourself, you know, it's thanks to the new generation of TERFs that
I want to inspire the younger women to come out.
But we're going to see this turn around now in the next year or two, and it's thanks to people like you, thanks to your age group.
Well, thanks to you, women like me for, you know, making it possible.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. I mean, I'm brand new to it. Literally, when I was cancelled,
I've been in it for 20 years, but I didn't speak to anyone but my youth groups and my people and the clubs, and you know. But I didn't get good, you know, reactions. So I never thought I'd be a spokesperson for this.
It's funny, isn't it? None of us think we will, you know. But the thing is, once you've been cancelled, once this has happened to you, nobody else can really do anything to you.
That's sort of
that's it. That's just you're as bad as you can be, you know. So there's
I'm
nothing else they can.
bad boy in the group, so it just is bad
Yeah,
boy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody's doing badges that say a sort of badass turf or something, but I'd like to have a badge like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new badge that Kelly? Have you seen the new badge that Kelly J is doing? It's a little pink thing with a slider going along, and it's like the turf. Like you can be at one end and be slightly turf, and then at the far end and be full on turf. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm on the rude end, the rude femme end of this. Where it's just like, fuck you, Troons. I don't even want to talk to you. Why are we even debating this shit? It's just all ridiculous.
I think
Go back to reality.
Yeah, what happened with me is that I wasn't even in this at all, because I was working for this. I was working for this far left newspaper. Okay. So all the cartoons that I was doing were about things like unions and Labour politics and anti-monarchy and anti-police and stuff like that, right? So very far lefty things. And then suddenly in 2020, all this stuff blew up about trying to bring self-ID in Britain, because the UK Labour Party wanted to push it in, you know, and so it was in the news. So I did the cartoon purely because it was in the news, because I was a political cartoonist, right? Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it at all. I didn't think it was controversial. I didn't think it was offensive. I didn't think anything of it. The only thing I did do was when I sent it into them, I sent an email saying that it was close to my heart because I'd had this gender non-conformity myself as a teenager. Right. So the subject was close to my heart, right? So I told them, but they didn't bother printing any background to it. They didn't bother with any of that. And then they just caved. They just caved at the first bit of pressure, you know?
So they have a backbone, because if not, they're just going to walk all over us.
But since then, obviously, more people have come and said, do more cartoons on this issue. So I have been doing more cartoons on this issue.
I'm sure you're always busy.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy to do it. I mean, some of the stuff I've got on my board here is not turfy stuff. I'm an anti-transhumanist. Right. So so people like Donovan Cleckley in the 11th Hour blog, people who've written against transhumanism, I've illustrated their articles as well. And I mean, I'm a book illustrator, really. That's what I do. Well, that's what I do more than
be told. It is.
That's what I do more than. Yeah, it's what I do more than cartoons. I mean, I do like children's books. There's a children's book called The Wee Bunny Book, which is a little Scottish book about flying rabbits. You know,
men can be women. Why not flying rabbits?
And really, really serious books. I mean, this is a textbook about the English enclosures, which is when all the peasants were thrown off the land in the sort of late Middle Ages. You know, I mean, all kinds of people. I mean, I do books. I illustrate books for all kinds of people.
And like turfs have a life on turfing.
We do. And the other thing I think is interesting, and which I find interesting, is that I've got, you know, I'm quite old now, right? So I've got loads of other interests I've had earlier in my life that I'm now revisiting because I've had the time to do it. And in this modern world with podcasts and things, you can go on podcasts as a known turf, but be talking about a different type of subject and just sneak your turfy things into the conversation.
Oh yeah, we turfs do know how to do that.
Yeah, so I've been going on podcasts about science fiction and horror cinema, for example. I've been going on podcasts about the paranormal. Yeah, I even had a past life regression, and that's up on YouTube. And I'm wearing this hat with all my turfy stuff on it in the video.
My friend still watches your videos and was telling me she loves your like guided tour history things.
Oh, how cool! Yeah, I mean, it's such a tiny channel, and a lot of people would only have an interest in that if they came from where I live, you know? But on that channel, I've also done some cartoon workshops. So some of the drawings we're talking about is on there in my cartoon workshops.
I'm making sure you're loved with other women and other people out there in the world.
I'm trying to. How I've said to people on Spinster is, we can go out into the other areas of interest we've got, whatever it is, whether it's music or art, whatever it is.
I have a
And we
turkey
can-
crafting group for, you know, people that use Silhouette, you know, and like Cricut and like, you know, those awesome machines. Anyone wants to join, please hit me up.
Yeah, and you can be talking to an audience who've never even read anything about turf or don't even know the subject very well, but you are a known turf, and so they are accepting you, and it can be it could be an all male audience. It could be an audience of complete nerds, you know. But what we're doing by doing that is we're extending
Dropping the bombs.
turfdom. We're extending
Making people
turfdom.
think again about reality.
Yeah, spreading it out into the real world, you know. And I think that's a very important thing to do. And I think the more people could do that, the better. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you go to a chess club or something. And World Chess just now.
I mean, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being part of this. And let's do some catch up like in a year or so. Does that sound good with you?
Yeah, and I want to say to you and your audience, any campaigners out there, I don't charge for campaigners. If you want cartoons along the lines of the things you've seen tonight, give me a shout, and VF will share my email with you.
So much.
Yeah, give me a shout, and
I will give out your email again for everybody. Your information. You can find your cartoons on Substack.
Those are the platforms I'm on, and VF will share my email with you privately if you want to contact me for artwork.
Later in the notes, I promise everybody. Thank you so much, and catch up with you soon.
It's been fun. Thank you. Thanks very much.